Hey, what's up everyone? Mendel here. Hope you're all doing awesome and wonderful. So, when you look over here, you see something new. This is called Subloom by Mixland. Now, Mixland reached out to me to do a review about this plugin, and I was actually quite curious about this because on the YouTubes, or in the world of YouTube, I saw quite some reviews, some people testing it, for example, on EDM or on hip hop, but I was actually quite curious how it would sound on a metal slash like heavy low tuned metal death metal mix. In other words, is it suitable for mixing metal and the heavier types of modern metal? Now the left side is mainly the EQ section, so you can see high pass, low pass. We have an EQ section here. This is based on a British EQ, and when people say British EQ, I probably think it's SSL or maybe Neve, I don't know. Transient, saturation, rep, and on the right side we have the sub. And this is the quite unique thing that I personally haven't seen in a plugin, but I'm not sure if it's useful in a metal mix. But let's dive right into it. So this song is a song I wrote called Hades Dethroned from my latest, is it latest? Yeah, latest solo album, Equilibrium. It's quite a heavy song with like low tune to F sharp guitars. Let me just bypass the plugin. I haven't done anything yet, but let's first take a listen to the mix without it. So basically everything's mixed except for the kick drum. Alright, so very low tuned guitars. I'm really happy with the mix, but again, there's no mixing on the kick, and you can quite hear it lacks some presence. It's kind of muddy, like when we take a solo listen to it. Kind of needs some work to fit in the mix. So let's activate Subloom here, and let's turn some knobs. So first let's do the EQ. So that's quite adding to low end. Now it's still a bit muddy, so let's take out some, let's say 400 Hertz. Now that's starting to sound more like a modern metal kick. And now let's add some click to it. All right, so back and forth. Okay, so let's take a listen how this sounds in the mix already. Alright, so that's starting to sound good. So now let's take a listen what the Transient is doing, the Transient knob over here. So I like it around 3. Let's take a listen bypassed and unbypassed. Okay, so if you want, you can also add some saturation to it. Now this is where I think it could be, depending on the kick, if you like its saturation. For me, I think I prefer without it, but this could be a very cool sound design tool even. All right, so now we get to the right side, the sub side of the plugin. So basically what the sub side is doing is listening to the source that's coming in and creating a sine wave of basically the source that's coming in. And that could basically add to the kick drum to make it even more heavier or manipulate it even further. So let's just give it a go. So make sure you listen to this on some good headphones or good speakers, so you can hear the sine that's being generated by the kick drum. So I'm going for a fast attack. We're not talking about compression here, but how fast it starts. As soon as possible, and also stops as soon as possible. I just want to have like a quick smack. So when you listen very close, you can hear that sort of mini decay, but adding some thickness to the kick. Now over here we have pitch dive, and let me just grab the manual, or else I will say things that are not completely correct. This allows the user to dial in low end that blooms, swoops down, and dives in to hit you in the chest. All in perfect tempo with the song the user is working with. Alright, so let's take a listen. All right, so when we take a close listen to this, let me just put this part on repeat. Actually, having everything on max, it does create some cool effect on the kick drum, to be honest. That's pretty cool, but for this mix, I'll put it off, put attack and decay as quick as possible, and put the pitch around 50 Hz. And then we also have Transient on the sub side. But for this mix, I don't need that. So I like how it sounds like this. Now what I think could be cool is, for an example, when we put Subloom on the drum bus over here, and then for a certain part, let's fully destroy the drums. So this is almost going into the sound design department. This is very cool and unique in my opinion. Just turn knobs to the extreme and create something that destroys. Alright, so the end verdict, in my opinion, it's a cool plugin, but I'm not sure if I would use it in my personal workflow when I'm mixing metal, unless I want to have some certain weird kind of sound effect, working with the sine waves and doing a ton of saturation, like a really destroying the drums kind of effect. However, I can see if you mix hip hop, EDM, perhaps some rock types, this is like a perfect tool. But for a metal mix, modern metal mix / death metal mix, where for example you would have like very fast kicks, I think it could be too much for it, but that's just my opinion. Alright, so let me down in the comments what you think about this plugin. Would you try this plugin? And if so, on what would you use it? Very curious to hear. That's it for this video. My name is Mendel, and see you next time. Cheers.